Hey, what's up, everybody? Krakenol here, and we're just pumping out videos today because they're pumping out things for us to make videos on. So today they had a couple panels. We're gonna break it into different videos. We're gonna go over the reality fracture panel today, where they debuted some cards and what the set's really about. And then in another video, we'll kind of go over the future of Magic. So they started off by showing us like the Alara 5, the originals, Johnny, Jace, Lily, Chandra, Garrick. And then they kind of started breaking down the panels for us. They gave us the first card here in Jace, the Theorist, Jace Bellerin, 2 blue blue for legendary Planeswalker. He has 4 abilities. One of them is a static ability. They kind of went into details how Jace, the Mind Sculptor, was like the first Planeswalker that had 4 abilities, so they wanted to represent that again. And we have legendary Planeswalker Jace. At the beginning of each opponent's draw step, you draw a card. And so in multiplayer formats, that's going to be multiple cards in a turn. And then +1 created a 1/1 blue illusion, which calls back to some of the Jace's previous cards before. Then he's -2 for each opponent. Return up to 1 target artifact or creature that player controls to his owner's hand. So he's got a bounce. And then his -6 is draw 3 cards and put X/1/1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of cards in your hand. They did mention he's the villain of the story because he's trying to make this echo verse that like fixes the things that went wrong in his mind. But it didn't always turn out to be for the best. Then they showed off the art that's got like how the Planeswalker arts, each pack you open is going to have both. So you got your Ajani on your left side and your right side represented here. And you see that the art does it like that. So each pack, like they said, is going to have one of the like current versions and one of the Echoverse versions. And if you see on Ajani Unrelenting, he's got that symbol here in his text box that we saw on Ral when Ral was black from Strixhaven. So you got Ajani Resolute, 1 and a white for starting loyalty 2, legendary Planeswalker. Whenever you gain life, put a loyalty counter on Ajani. So he's also got that static ability there. And then his got 0, you gain a life. So then you gain a life, he gets a loyalty counter. And then create a 2/2 white cat soldier creature token named Johnny Pridemate with whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this token. So it's a 2-mana Johnny that makes a Pridemate, but he can't do that right off the jump because it's a -4. Then you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2. In a dedicated life gain deck, Soul Sisters deck, I mean, this thing is going to gain massive amounts of loyalty. So getting that +2/+2 emblem, I doubt is that difficult. On a Johnny Unrelenting for red, legendary Planeswalker Johnny, 5 loyalty starting. His static ability is whenever you activate a loyalty ability, create a 2/2 colorless wizard soldier creature token named Cadet. Creatures you control get 1/0 and gain haste to the end of turn. Discard your hand, then draw a card for each creature you control for -2, and then -3 is the Johnny deals 4 damage to each creature except for the tokens you control. So 6 mana is quite a bit. This is going to be fun to draft, though, since you get both of them in a pack, though. So that is cool, and you're getting like a double mythic in your pack. But as far as the creature itself, or the Planeswalker itself, it's okay. And then we saw this at MagicCon Vegas, where they were showing off a little bit of the reality fracture, where we got a reprint of Chandra Torch of Defiance, 2 red, 4 starting loyalty, +1 is exile the top card of your library. You may cast that card. If you don't, Chandra does 2 damage to each opponent. Another +1 is add double red. A -3 is 4 damage to a creature, and then her -7 is you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to any target. She's been very strong in the past. She's been even like modern playable in the past. So it's a pretty decent reprint. Chandra Chill of Compliance. So this is the Echoverse version of Chandra. 1 blue, 3 starting loyalty. +1 is Surveil 1. If you put a non-creature, non-land card into your graveyard this way, put that card in your hand. So you can surveil a non-creature, non-land card into your graveyard and then get to put it in your hand. So it's card advantage and churning through the deck. +1 is add blue mana, spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells. So it kind of mimics her double red. And then -X, tap X, target artifact or creature, put X stun counters on them, which that's pretty cool. And then you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, draw a card on -6, which is this one mirrors better than I think Ajani did. And then they did show off that these planeswalkers will be getting this like borderless echoed pairs alt art. They didn't show any of the other ones yet, but you can see the, as well as the non special forms. The borderless echoes also have like this. They hired the artist to do the same characters and make the art like go together. Kind of mumbled my words there. But then Liliana the Faultless and Liliana the Repentant, which they explain that she is not a planeswalker because she lost her spark in the current storyline. So she's her Echoverse version also is not a planeswalker. So you got Liliana the Faultless for 1 white, 1/1. Whenever another creature or planeswalker you control enters, you gain 1 life. And she is a legendary human cleric. And then she has 1 tap, discard a card, another target creature or planeswalker you control gains hexproof to the end of the turn, which I thought was pretty cool, especially for a 1 mana 1/1. And then you have a 2 mana 2/2 legendary creature human warlock. Whenever another creature or planeswalker you control enters, mill 2 cards. She has exhaust 6. Return target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a 1/1 counter on Liliana. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm a little sad that we didn't get like one version of a planeswalker for her, and this is also a rare versus like these other the Ajanis and the Chandras are mythics, but can't all be mythics, I guess. It is cool to be able to reanimate like a planeswalker even, and I'm sure there's ways to reduce exhaust in like Commander, especially if you're playing like I guess you don't get training grounds in black, but maybe if you're playing her in a blue-black deck. Then we got we haven't had Garrick in a very long time. So Garrick Veiled Butcher is 3 black, and he is using the Chain Veil here for 5 starting loyalty. He also has a static that's if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. So that's pretty cool. And then +2, up to 1 target creature gets -4, -1 until your next turn. -2 is each player sacrifices a creature of their choice. If you sacrifice a creature this way, create a 4/4 green beast creature token with trample. Each opponent discard -3. Each opponent discards 2 cards. For each opponent who didn't discard 2 non-land cards this way, you draw a card. 5 mana is still pretty expensive for like what we have going on in standard right now. So I can't see this seeing play, but who knows? Garrett Cursebreaker, also 3 green, legendary planeswalker Garrett, starting also at 5 loyalty, with their static being whenever a creature you control with power 4 or greater enters, draw a card. We've seen that on Garrett cards before, other cards before. Pretty strong. Untap up to 2 target lands, also strong. We've seen that on like Kiora, but she only costs 3, so the 5 mana is really holding it back here. And then -3, create a 4/4 green beast creature token with trample. And then when that creature enters, of course, it will trigger the static, which will draw a card. And then until your next turn, whenever 1 or more creatures attack one of your opponents, those creatures get 2/2 and gain trample to the end of turn. So it kind of has like the overrun built into it. I think the green one is stronger than the black one. The black one's static is not bad, but for 5 mana, it is very expensive. And then they went on to tell us about, we've seen in Vegas, they showed us like the Hex Haven. I guess there's originally wasn't in their plans to do this, but people kept asking for the other color pairs. And then as the story was developing, they created Hex Haven in the Echoverse. Fatehold, Theorix, Stinger Quill, Constrari, and Vigor Bloom. They showed us 1 card from each of the schools. There is more of like an evil tendency on all the schools here, since they're kind of like Jace's frontline in the Echoverse. This is the blue-white Fatehold. They're more about seeing the future and catching things before they happen, which that was God, that was a movie. What was the name of that movie? Put it down in the comments below if you remember the name of that movie, but that's what the vibes it was giving me. So 1 and a hybrid Azorius, white and blue. Creature dwarf wizard 1/4. So it's a dwarf, which is, we're about to go to Hobbit, so that the type line tagline kind of checks out. This creature enters prepared. And then whenever you scry or surveil, creatures you control get 1/0 until the end of turn, and this ability triggers only once per turn. And then it has peer review for 2 and a white-blue hybrid. Sorcery, create a 2/2 colorless wizard soldier creature token named Cadet. So that's not that. So we saw Cadet on the Ajani back there too. I guess like a lot of the tokens are just called Cadet in this set, and they do different things. Then you create the token and then surveil 1. Then when you surveil, it also triggers the like prepared thing over here, or the other ability on the dwarf wizard. The next one is the blue black, and we got 1 and a blue black hybrid paradox shaper octopus wizard 1/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't prepared, it becomes prepared. So that's pretty cool. It just becomes prepared. Normally, when creatures start prepared or can get re-prepared, they're a little bit better. 2 colorless, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. And then it comes with the spell omit variables for a blue and a black hybrid. Sorcery, mill 3 cards. Right. The next one was Stinger Quill Voxmancer. I thought this was like the cool lore behind the school is like they learned how to make words hurt you. So anyways, 1 in a Rakdos black red color hybrid goblin sorcerer 1/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't prepared, it becomes prepared, and then you get the sorcery Vicious Verse for a hybrid red and black. Vicious Verse does 1 damage to target opponent. I think that it's a 1-mana 1/2, which isn't bad, and it always prepares on your upkeep, which is good. I wish this did 1 damage to target creature. I feel like that would be pretty cool because it's like automatic removal on a stick. Maybe that's too good. This one was like I forgot most of their names already, but I remember this one was like Constrari because they like to construct and deal with like puppetry and whatnot. So 2 and a green red hybrid for a cat druid 3/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't prepared, it becomes prepared. And then it has Soul Tether, 2 and a red-green hybrid again. Create a Heartwood token. And then here is the Heartwood token. It's basically a mana rock. It creates an artifact that can tap for red and green, and it does not sacrifice. That was one thing they noted, that this was like a permanent. And then we got Vigor Bloom Vanguard. Hey, there you go, Vigor Bloom. 1 and a green-white hybrid for a creature troll druid 2/2. This creature enters prepared. See, it does not re-prepare. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has vigilance, and then it has Seed Suture, which puts a 1/1 counter on target creature, and you gain a life. Then they showed off this art where it's basically like Jace peering into the Echoverse. It's like their version of what if Phyrexians didn't destroy Mirrodin, stuff like that. And they showed Dark Confidant here, and they were saying like Dark Confidant is not in the set, but they were using it as these are the Echoverse versions. So instead of Dark Confidant, we have Enlightened Confidant, 1 and a white, 2/1, lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, surveil 1. If you put a card with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you gain this turn into your graveyard, this way, put that card into your hand. So you gain a life, you put a 1 drop into your graveyard, you get to go ahead and pick it back up. Or, if you gain 3 life, you could put a 3 mana card in there and still pick it up and put it in your hand. Pretty cool. There's a lot of like life gain synergy stuff that they showed off today. They're really pushing that Soul Sisters, huh? So the Shattered Mirror art is going to be like they showed us that one in Vegas that was like instead of Snapcaster Mage, it was like Stingcaster Mage, and now we've got like Dark Confidant and Enlightened Confidant art where it's got the Dark Confidant and the Shatter, and then the Enlightened Confidant on the other part of the art, which I think this like style is very cool, especially like the callback to the previous art. I didn't catch the slide that showed the Crater Colossus, but this was the Greater Hoof Behemoth, but in the art of Crater Claw Colossus, which is 4 red for a 5/5 beast construct artifact creature. And then it's got haste when the creature enters. Creatures you control gain trample and get XO into the inner turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control. So Still very, very reminiscent of Craterhoof Behemoth. Although being an artifact, there's way more like artifact reduction than there is like creature reduction and like improvise and things like that that you can do in Commander. So it's very possible this thing comes out for red, 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 and then you get to give all your creatures trample and XO, or that's the number of artifacts, which minimum is what, 4 or 5 there because counts itself. So 5-0 until end of turn. Then they kind of talked about this like secret layer bundle, and it made it sound like there's going to be these like going forward, where it came with like 6 play boosters, 2 collector boosters, the dice. It's like reinventing the fat packs, kind of what it like sounded like to me, or like the bundle. Um, I don't know. They didn't. I'd have to go look at some of my other slides. I couldn't remember if there was like a regular bundle and a secret layer bundle, but they made it sound like these are kind of permanent going forward. That these will release with each set. And then they went over some more of the like different art styles that you can get in the collector boosters, the Jace, the Enlightened Confidant, and the Creator Colossus. That's it. That's it for the reality fracture video. We got another video to do the future of Magic set. So follow me, like, subscribe, all that, and we'll go over that video and we'll post that here in just a little bit. All right, it's been a good day and a very, very busy day full of content, but I hope you guys are enjoying all this, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.